Caldwell Pope off the steal. Edwards trying to get back, and he does. What a rejection from Anthony Edwards. Now Edwards running the break, Euros, and finishes.
So as the Minnesota Timberwolves lost in the first round of the playoffs versus the Denver Nuggets, there was one player on this Timberwolves team that lit it up on a nightly basis and proved yet another time why this team needs to be built around him. That player, as you might have guessed it, is Anthony Edwards. Edwards is a bona fide young star in this league, and by performing the way he did in round 1, it makes his stock rise even higher. I've said it time and time again, that Cat is no longer the best player on this team, and some people were really mad that I said that, but hopefully after this season and series, you can actually lean more on my side of the Ant or Cat as the leader debate. Now, I'm not trying to put them against each other or anything because they are both solid players, but I believe there comes a point in time where you must choose a player that you want to shape the team around, and after this round 1 breakdown of Edwards, you'll see why I have such high praise for him. When looking at his averages through 5 games, Ant put up 31 points, 5 rebounds and 5 assists, while maintaining shooting splits of 48% from the field and 35% from deep. I mean, the numbers themselves are impressive, but when you look at those who scored at least 20 points per game this series for the Timberwolves, it's literally a big fat goose egg at 0 players. Yeah, I promise you, I'm not joking. Ant was doing the heavy lifting every night, and when you see him start the series with the through the legs crossover step back from 25 feet, it shows you just how locked in Edwards was. And listen very closely on this play, because this is when you know Edwards is in his groove cooking defenders.
As we cross the 7-minute mark, spinning, hanging, puts it in.
Yeah, that Ric Flair came from Edwards, as he knew this 14-foot turnaround was going through the net. You really don't come across a lot of young guys in the league who look this confident and just don't back away from the big moment, but Edwards has absolutely no fear and will make his presence felt on the offensive side. When looking at the top 3 areas where he was most effective in this series, it trickles down from the restricted area where he converted 64% of his 36 field goal attempts, to then to the top of the key 3-pointer where he knocked down 39 of his 36 field goal attempts as well, and then last but not least, Edwards knocked down 50% of his 18 attempts in the mid-range. So it didn't matter where he ended up on the court, as Edwards was able to create something for himself and put points on the board. This level of play might be overlooked by a lot of viewers, as there have been a lot of exciting performances so far, but when you take into account that Ant is only 21, led his team in the scoring department, and when we look at this graphic that was displayed during the game, you can see Edwards is among some elite names for 30-point playoff games before the age of 22 years old. So honestly, we must all appreciate what we are seeing from a young upcoming superstar in this league. When watching Ant attack the rack, his moves were so sharp, calculated, and quick that it was giving the Nuggets tons of problems, and it looked as if Ant was the older kid playing against the young guys in a summer AAU tournament. I mean, Edwards just has such an explosive first step and a fearless mentality that when driving to the basket in this series, it was extremely difficult for the defense to slow him down. When he was getting out with a head of steam up the court, this is when you saw him glide through the defense real smooth and quickly just to put the 2 points on the board. You can see Ant just hurdles Jokic here, showing off the track skills, and as he gets past half court, Edwards just blows past 3 Nuggets defenders that could have easily stepped in front of him, but nope, it's just an easy one at the rim. And then when he wants to switch from hurdles to the 100-meter dash, Ant can give it up, sprint down the court, and upon receiving the ball, he can deliver a Euro while en route to a sneaky opposite side right-hand lay off the glass. When Edwards is pushing up the floor, it's like a train is coming at you, but more like an elusive train and not just a brute force one. Because Ant can keep it simple and just blow past defenders using sheer speed, but when you see him use the smooth behind the back to break off Porter, cross back right to avoid KCP, and then float past Jokic to lay it home, it makes you sit up a little bit more in your chair. The attacking of Edwards is so fierce that defenders play more into it, so when Ant is coming at them, it opens up these stopping pops from 23 feet, which rattle right in, giving Edwards all the confidence he needs. Through these 5 games, and hell, even throughout the whole season, Ant has shown his ability to attack the rim with power and finesse, often finishing through contact with acrobatic layups, or when he chooses, he can detonate on defenders all out. Me personally, I love seeing how well Ant was dealing with the physicality during the games, and on this play, Gordon is riding his hip, giving Edwards no space, just trying to knock him off his spot, but Edwards stays composed and drops in this floater while falling out of bounds going left. The strength isn't just only present on the drives to the basket. By being a bigger 6'4" guy, Ant can use his size to his advantage like he does here on KCP and just bully him right into the rim and then lay it in. Listen to me, you can try and throw bodies at him and play the bang him up type of game, but honestly, it's like Edwards is fairly comfortable if that's the type of energy the defense is coming with, and there's a couple reasons why. For the most obvious, is because Ant is powerful enough to move guys out of his way or absorb contact when finishing, but the real major key is that when players use force to try to stop you, the best way to combat that is to be very agile in your pursuit to the rim. When Edwards has the ball in his hands and sees an opportunity to drop to the basket, he carefully evaluates the defense in front of him before he goes to eat, so once he notices there's a defender guarding him closely, he will use the quickness and agility to create space to get past his opponent, and whoever is at the rim waiting on him next, well, they better get ready for what's to come. Pairing all of that with a solid ball handling ability allows him to change direction and shift his body weight as he maneuvers through traffic, and for the defense, they really get lost, or shall I say stuck in their tracks, when Edwards is navigating to the rim. On all driving layups in this short-lived postseason, Ant converted 61% of his 21 attempts, just causing havoc with his drives. Here with Jokic as well as KCP up high on Edwards as Rudy slipped his screen, Ant uses the quick through the legs to avoid the double, pushes into the paint, and then uses this carryover Euro to slice through the defense for the bucket. For the defense, trying to combat that is very tough, and if the defenders try to get up and crowd his space, stopping him going one way, Ant can dish out the spin move to change directions, and then with the cone being the only backline defense, all Ant sees is easy money at the rack. When you watch Ant closely, you can notice once he gets past that initial defender, Edwards accelerates towards the basket with impressive speed and power. His long strides allow him to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time, and with his excellent body control, he can adjust his path as defenders approach him at the rim. This tremendous amount of pressure Ant puts on the defense makes them be wary of his attacks, and it starts to open up his game more because defenses will play back at times, and also because once you see a couple easy ones fall through the basket, you really start to get in your flow now. Edwards just decided in this series that, hey, I'm gonna be a magician in the mid-range area and really make some tough shots no matter the contest. Now I know only making 9 shots in this area isn't something breathtaking, but knocking down 50% of his attempts is, and the way he was dropping these in was truly incredible. That same head of steam that he used coming up the court to drive pours directly into his dribble pull-ups as well. As he sets up KCP to go off the screen, Edwards quickly crosses back the other way going through the legs, and with Jokic playing in drop coverage, Ant is awarded the easy elbow pull-up from 15 feet. But trust me, Ant can slow it down if needed, and by still using his quick moves out the post, Edwards can totally shake Murray off of him with his little shimmy shake and fade off the right shoulder. So do this for me, pick your poison. Do you want him to work off the dribble, or do you want him to work out the post? Either way, Ant can make you pay, and as he drops in more shots, the more fancier they become. When watching this series versus the Nuggets, it was like the left side of the court was just his bread and butter area as he was just torching the Nuggets, and here you can see exactly what I mean. As Ant changes paces coming off the screen, pushes to the rim, and as the defense collapses on his angle, Edwards opts into this one-footed midi where he had to adjust to the contest and still banks it in off the glass. Now that shot was pretty tough, it truly was, but if you think that's where it stops, then you would be sadly mistaken. Because when Ant puts it on the deck here, breaking down KCP with this spin into the step back fade, it makes your eyes widen, and then when pushing past Jokic on the sideline, Ant attracts 3 defenders, says I got this, and rises up dropping it in despite the hand right in his face. These buckets were honestly a work of art, and Ant was just in a flow state when it came to getting into his shot. This even branched out into his 3-point shooting where Ant was relocating well without the ball to then get open and let it fly from deep. If you watch Edwards on the opposite side of this play, you can see as Anderson gets into the paint, it makes the defense shift, which makes Green rotate down as well. So just by making the little adjustment by sliding to the corner, Edwards loses Green and knocks down the triple. But once the ball ended up in his hands and Ant needed to create for himself, the amount of space he was able to create was absurd to say the least. Using the through the leg size up into a snatch cross here opens up this huge gap for a clean look at the rim. And now with the defense alert to his sweet outside stroke, Ant can feed the up fake to get them on the trampoline and then use the step back to still put it up from downtown. The shooting from deep was pretty solid for most of the series, and when we look at a deeper breakdown of his 3-point shooting over the series, Ant was far more successful when it came to shooting off the dribble, and that says a lot for his future as a shot creator in this league. The scoring versatility was magnificent and it was displayed on a nightly basis. If you made it this far in the video, some bonus things that caught my eyes as well when watching these games was how entertaining some of these misses were from Edwards. Yeah, you heard that right. Yeah, I said misses. If you watch on the screen, I have some examples on display, and you're gonna see it ranges from beautiful moves in the mid-range, all the way to these slicing attacks to the rim that just look like a work of art. Seeing Ant attempt some of these moves in the playoffs is huge, and it shows you just how ready he is for the moment. It's just gonna take a little bit more sharpening of the tools. This playoff series was a great one in my opinion for Edwards, and I think the Wolves definitely need to find a way to really build around him. Sure, losing McDaniels for the playoffs was a big hit, but beyond that, Ant still needs some help over there in Minnesota. Sure, some of you might disagree, but hey, that's the beauty of sports. We can all have our own opinions. Hopefully next season we can see Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves make a deeper playoff run, but for now, their season is ended. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe before heading out. I thank you all for your support, it means a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.